Okay, one of the things I'm asked is how many protein, fats, and carbs should you be eating? What's the best macro ratio? Now, I want to start out with a couple of caveats. I'm going to share what I do now, and I want to state right off the bat, it's not the best thing for everybody. And that's the point, is that there is no perfect macro ratio. Again, I'm going to share with you how I go about it, how it's helped me. Basically, I don't take thyroid meds anymore. My metabolism has improved quite a bit, but not every one thing works for everybody. And you're going to have to start with something and then begin to experiment. Now, with that being said, let's hop into it. Where I would start is with your calories. Now, there's two ways you can do this. The first is to track your calories on an app. Use whatever app you want. Doesn't really matter. But track your calories on an app. Do that for a couple of weeks and get an idea of your maintenance. Okay. If that doesn't work for you, you can also use an online calculator. And I'm just going to walk through my own personal example just to show you how this works. So if I were to use a calculator, I'm just shy of 6'2", and I range anywhere from 210, 215 pounds. If you plug that in and use a light activity part in the calculation, it's going to tell me my maintenance calories around 2,600. So that's a place I can start. Like I said, my current weight's 210 to 215. I generally use a light activity setting. I think most people, they overestimate how active they are. Most people are near as active as they think they are. But again, let's just use 2,600 as my number. Okay. If you're tracking your calories and you know what your maintenance is based off your history, that's even better, but this will get you going. Okay. So let's start with protein. Protein is important, but it's not the be all and end all. Most places you start with are going to be like, oh, you need to have 1 gram of protein per pound. The data doesn't back that up. I would shoot for 0.62 to zero 0.8 grams of protein per pound of ideal body weight. My ideal body weight, if you're morbidly obese, if you're 300 pounds and you want to get down to 180, you don't want to use 300 as your number. You want to use the 180. So again, going back to me, let's say my ideal weight is 200 of ideal body weight. I'd take 0.62 or zero 0.8 and calculate that out. That gets me 124 to 160 grams of carbs a day. Okay. Where's the best place to get your protein? You want a wide range of protein. You want them from animal sources. So gelatin, raw dairy, bone broth, you can see everything that I listed there. Let's pick a middle number and say, I'm going to get 140 grams of protein per day. If you think you need more, if you think you have to hit that 1 gram per pound of body weight to get the thermic effect of food and everything else everybody says, that's not really the case. I've done other videos on that. If you tolerate it well and you enjoy eating that way, for sure, go ahead and do it. I didn't tolerate it well and I didn't enjoy it. And the data doesn't back it up that you have to go that high. Again, this is kind of the sweet spot. So we're going to say I have 140 grams of protein a day. There's 4 calories in each gram of protein. So that means I've used up 560 calories worth of protein in my daily allotment. Okay. Now let's move on to carbs. Okay. This is where people are going to struggle. I've made many videos on this. Carbs are great for your body. Now people will say, well, you don't need carbs to survive. You don't. That's technically true. But if you want to feel good and thrive, you want carbs. Okay. So if you're scared of carbs, watch some of my other videos because you're going to run into problems avoiding them. All right. A good mark to shoot for with carbs is to go, you at least want to hit 150, and we'll explain that here in a second. But at a bare minimum, you want to at least match your protein, if not go above it. So let's just say I'm going to shoot for a 2-to-1 ratio. That'll put me at 280 grams of carbs per day. This is where you have a lot of flexibility. If you are coming from an extreme diet, you don't want to do 280 grams of carbs a day right away. You want to gently move up to that. Again, I've done other videos on this. I don't want to beat a dead horse. But if you find that you tolerate that amount of carbs well, do 280. If you find that you don't do as well with it, back off. You don't, there's no set ratio that's perfect for everybody. Everybody's a little different. There are populations of people who can survive and thrive on a 90 to a 95% carbohydrate ratio in their diet. There's other people, other indigenous tribes that have much lower carb ratios. Okay. Doesn't mean they don't eat carbs, but they're they're assimilated to it. Okay. It may be the same case for you. You are going to have to experiment. I just talked about your background. Again, some people do better on less or more. Okay. Continuing on the carb thing, I would shoot for at least 150 grams of carbs a day. That's because your brain, your nervous system does great running on carbohydrates, and to fuel the needs of your brain, your brain is going to use probably 600 calories of glucose a day for most people, average. That's 150 grams of carbs because there's 4 calories in each gram of carbs. So for really good neurological function, that's what I would shoot for. Okay. Ripe fruits, obviously you can see it here, honey, maple syrup. When you're starting out, I would stick with those. If you're coming from an extreme diet background, again, I've done many videos on this. Well-cooked potatoes, sweet potatoes can be options as well. I'm also now able to have jasmine rice, and I make my own long fermented sourdough. Okay. Now let's talk about fats, you guys. This is important. Fats have a lot more calories per gram. So you do have to be careful with them if you're trying to maintain or lose weight. But at this point, I've got 2,600 calories. I use 560 in protein. I used 1120 in carbs. That gives me 900 calories remaining to go towards fat. Okay. Fat has 9 calories per gram. 920 divided by 9 gives me around 102 grams of fat. I would try to divide that up throughout the day. I would not have the bulk of that in one meal. Can really slow down your digestion. And if you're coming from extreme diets, you can have issues with that. But the types of fats I stick with and that I recommend for people, if you're trying to lose weight, I would stick with coconut oil. It's very metabolically friendly. That or grass-fed butter and ghee are really great options. They're, despite what you've been told, they're very healthy, very good for us. Okay. All right. So again, I want to go back to what I said in the beginning of the video. All this is nuanced. You're going to watch this video and go, okay, I have to stick with these numbers. Like pick a starting point. Know that, okay, you have to have enough, not too much protein. We talked about that. You have to have enough, but carbs, but not so many that you're not tolerating them well. And you need some fat in your diet. Most people are going to do well on maybe 20 to 40% of their calories from fat. If you're coming from an extreme diet background, I'd probably start at 40 and try to bring it down. If you're trying to lose weight, you definitely want to go more towards the lower end of that fat scale. But all of this is nuanced, you guys. Again, I mentioned if I'm trying to lose weight, I would be careful with the full fat dairy. I would be careful with starchy carbs. And the one thing that I would encourage you to do is track your calories, do it really precisely, weigh your foods out, do that, get a feel for where your maintenance calories at, how you're feeling. If something isn't working for you, that tracking is going to be able to tell you. Okay. Again, if you're coming from keto or carnivore, an extreme diet background or intermittent fasting, you're going to need to be really careful with the introducing carbs and bringing them up. You're going to have to do it very slowly. Again, I've made other videos. Okay. So just go very slowly. That's the key there. So long story short, guys, there is no perfect ratio. This gives you a guideline that you can get started. Let me know of questions you have in the comments section. Also, let me know other topics you want me to cover. This video was a question from a viewer. So let me know in the comments. I give preference to those questions to people who have subscribed to my channel and who've went to my website and got my free checklist. By the way, a lot of valuable stuff in that checklist. It's free. Make sure you go grab it because it gives you options outside of drugs and surgery. I personally use these things. So let me know. Hope this was helpful. You guys see you in the next one.